Hey folks, welcome back again to another battle report. This time we're doing some Lord of the Rings and we're back at Kirton Games. So this is the second tournament. I know I've only just put up the last lot from the last tournament, but I went off to the second tournament, and from my cover picture that you've seen, that is actually my entire army. I took 4 elf models, the 3 guys I had previously painted, and I thought, well, you know, I can't decide how many elves to put in and how to spread them out, so I just put in Gilgalad, and that was that, really. So for my first game we're playing Reconnoiter, so yeah, this is going to be a bit of the kick in the balls for having 4 models. My job here is pretty much to stop my opponent getting off and maybe try and kill his general and hopefully die before he can escape, because there's no way I'll be getting off any of my guys through his while he gets loads off mine. So yeah, in my opponent's force, as you can see, it is the Special Army of the Dead and Aragorn one. I believe so. This has got the 3 Anduril. So he's got Aragorn, the King of the Dead, and then just lots of Army of the Dead mixed in. And if you look at mine, well, we're going to have another look in a sec as my first turn goes up. I will warn you, I'm combining 2 battle reports into one due to the fact that my games were very quick. And in fact, so quick, I forgot to take photos at some points because the turns just went so fast with 4 models. And funny enough, I'm not the only one which had a small model count as well. So yeah, there's some very quick games here. So here's my guys. They've started their first move. I just spend my free will to start trying to cast Aura of Command, which allows my guys to automatically pass the courage tests. So at least the terror is not going to be an issue for my chaps. With like courage 7 and 6, it's not going to be a massive issue anyway, but it all helps. And this is how it looks overall. Okay, so I'm going to have to explain quite a lot here because it basically goes from this to the end. So Aragorn and his troop move up. Aragorn uses his free might that he gets a return to do heroic march and gets everyone moving quite quick. As you see, 2 of there are going off to my left hand side and they'll be trying to run down. Basically, I then do a dual charge and run in and do cool heroic fights for Glorfindel and Elrond. Not Elrond, Gilgalad. They kill their opponents and then use their heroic move to both take on Aragorn. Aragorn had called heroic strike, and he went in. He managed to roll the 10 for heroic strike, and after that fight, he basically damn near killed Gilgalad. At this point, at the end of the game, we did realise my opponent was using Anduril wrong. He had it as a master forged weapon, which it's not, but he would have probably had the might to up it anyway. So yeah, he was wounding me on 3s, even though I'm defense 8, so that was absolutely savage. And in the next couple of turns, I lose Glorfindel and I lose Gilgalad, and then he starts running past me with pretty much everything else and trying to leave me be. So I do what I can. The game's over when you drop to 25%. So I end up chucking in Kirton to take on Aragorn himself. Well, I just stick Aristor to take on the King of the Dead there. And that is how the game ends. He doesn't get anybody off. He kills my general. He broke me. He's not broken. So I end up getting no points. And my opponent gets 5 points. Yeah, that's it. My opponent gets 5 points. And that is the end. I think we were over in about half an hour. So this was brutally quick. This was like the scenario I didn't want to play with 4 models. But there you go. And yeah, I forgot how terrible Aragorn is with that free 40-point magic item that wounds you on 3s. That's pretty gribbly. But hey ho, 1 game down. I didn't say 4 guys was going to be a great idea, but you know, we're getting there. And we'll go on to the next one straight away. So this one was the whole ground mission, and for this scenario, it's obviously we come on at a random situation. My opponent is using Radagast and some eagles. I'll have a quick look in a minute, but this is just a setup, and you can see where we moved on. So I was pretty well spread, and obviously my opponent's only got 1 warband, so it wasn't too bad for them. So in this corner, we have Radagast on Rabbit Sled and 3 eagles. And to be honest, this was one of the armies I'm actually quite happy fighting, because even though he's got the monsters, he doesn't outnumber me, and he doesn't have a load of might either. Or she. This was Claire I was fighting. She doesn't have a load of might either. So I was quite content fighting here. As long as they don't pick on Kirton, I should be okay. So for me, Gilgalad and Glorfindel come on together. And Eristor comes down by himself. And finally Kirton all on his lonesome. This was my weak spot. Whatever happens here, I had to be careful with the eagles for him. If push comes to shove, I'll be running into the woods where I can actually probably outpace the eagles due to them having to use their ground movement and get another charging bonuses. So in the following turn, my opponent decides to go straight in for the kill and tries to take on Glorfindel. Gilgalad comes along to help out, passes Terror check to charge in there. Courage 7 is rather useful. In the background, my opponent, she casts something and I can't remember what it was. Actually, it might not have been cast yet. I think the knockdown comes down in a minute. But to be honest, I think all the magic my opponent cast were actually resisted, so it was a bit unfortunate. Because all my guys have obviously got will and the might points there to resist anything that I knew was going to be a complete danger. Yeah, and the budgie doesn't last very long against the Fight 9 Elf and the Fight 7 Glorfindel. Also fought Glorfindel as a two-handed weapon, so both these guys were getting +1 to wound. With defense 6, both of them were wounding on 5s, and they actually managed to take him out. I think I had to spend an extra might just to make sure it dies, because Radagast has got renew, so he can start rebuilding the wounds back up on these guys, and I don't want that. So if they're close to dying, I'll finish them off if I can. And so this is how we're looking over the board, and it says hold the ground. That little ring is the centre there, so you see in the middle of the picture. That's where we're trying to be holding. And with the bonus points of being able to hold with 3 or more models, I should be able to get 2 guys sitting on there and then just leave Glorfindel and Gilgalad to mop up the rest of the force. So in the following round of combats, both Gilgalad and Glorfindel end up taking on an elf each. And although it says Paralyze on there, I did not have Paralyze on me. This was actually Enchanted Blades. I just couldn't find the marker in my box to remind me. So not only is Gilgalad +1 to wound, he'll be rerolling fails to wounds. And these guys have got it as a standard reroll one of your failed to wounds anyway, so that's made him super killy, which is ideal. So they each take on an elf each, and I believe I charged both of these guys. I think I lost one and won the other, but didn't do much damage. I know my opponent did put dice around her models to show the damage I did. Obviously nothing shown up yet. So in the next turn I managed to dual charge in Glorfindel and Gilgalad against the one eagle again. Eristor decides to take on the other eagle. I think I do call Heroic Fight maybe. If they're able to kill off this eagle, they'll run to the other one. Not only that, Radagast comes up and tries to knock everyone down, but I managed to resist it with Glorfindel. Since he's got like a Fortify Spirit innate ability, so I get to use fewer dice basically to be able to resist the incoming spells. So I managed to beat this guy up, though unfortunately I don't manage to kill him. So in the following turn I do the same thing again, but this time Glorfindel goes and joins Eristor, because Eristor doesn't really have the fight or the number of attacks to take on the eagle. Gilgalad again gets a spell cast on him to allow him to reroll failed to wounds, and that should be able to finish off that budgie now. What surprised me is actually Eristor and Glorfindel managed to beat up their budgie and kill it in the one round, while Gilgalad failed miserably to kill off his budgie. So in the meantime, I also charge Glorfindel in against Radagast, and I think Eristor just stays back to protect Kirton. That's about it really. I completely fell off the Glorfindel. Even though I win the combat, I don't actually do any damage at all to Radagast. And Gilgalad manages finally to dispatch the other budgie. This remains for all my combat guides now, just to go against Radagast, and then it just comes down to, time spent. So this is the final picture of the game. Yeah, with these guys, 3 guys in, taking on Radagast. I get Enchanted Blades up again on Glorfindel, and I fight him with 2 hands, and with all the attacks I've got and the might, I dispatch Radagast. And Kirton is still within 6 of the centre, allowing me to score the victory points for that. And this game I actually score max victory points without giving any away. So this was a 12-0. So to go from 0 points on the first game to 12 points in the second game, it was a rather large swing. But this was an ideal matchup for me. To be honest, I was pretty happy with the matchup against the King of the Dead, because I've got the high courage in that just to chop through all the dead. But what Reconnoiter, that was the bit that killed me on that one. When I came there, I thought, I'll be happy taking on the army of the dead. I've got the high courage to do it. And then, of course, ruddy Reconnoiters rolled up. So far, I've 1 game, 1 loss, and got 0 points in the first and 12 in the second. Thanks to both opponents, they're both good fun. And I do feel sorry a bit for my opponent on the last one, where I did really have quite a hard counter to what she was bringing. Right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.